I'm Robinne Lee. I am an actress. I started acting, I've been acting since I was a child, I guess, and did classes and everything when I was little. And my parents, who are Jamaican and very traditional, and that Caribbean immigrant mentality really steered me away from getting into acting and really wanted me to focus on my education. I went to Yale undergrad, and in the car ride up, my dad said to me, "Don't think we're sending you to Yale to study theater." So I was a psychology major, and then when I came out, I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go and be an actress now." And they said, "Wait a minute, what about law school?" So I made a deal with them that I would take the LSAT if I could start acting. And I did. I started studying in New York with this incredible woman by the name of Sandra Lee, who's from the Actors Studio. And about the same time, I took the LSAT, applied to law school. I got in and then went to Columbia Law School while I was acting. And in the very first week of law school, I'd done an independent film that was picked up by Miramax. And that film was Have Plenty, which is one of the exciting things about being here back at the ABFF, is that that film was the opening night film of the very first ABFF festival. That's when it was the Acapulco Black Film Festival. And I haven't been back since that experience, which is like 15 years now. That was like my first film ever. I'd gotten out of backstage and it just grew and grew and grew with this tiny little independent film that we shot for no money. And it came to Acapulco and we got the attention of Kenny and Tracy Edmonds. And they signed on as executive producers, and then we went to Toronto, and at Toronto Film Festival, it was picked up by Miramax and received distribution, and the rest is history. But that all happened my first week of law school. So, so I finished law school, and the entire time I was going, I was studying, I was auditioning and doing, I did a few things. I did commercials, and I did a few TV movies and some independents while I was in New York and in school. I graduated, I took the bar in New York, and I moved out to LA, and I haven't looked back. And I've been acting since. I feel like acting is such a bizarre business in that it's very subjective. You go and you have these auditions that you're like, that was amazing. I know everyone in the room thought that was amazing. Then you don't get the part, and you don't get it for something that has nothing to do with your talent. And so, but it's enough to make you second guess yourself. But there are moments that you're doing it and it's all clicking, and you feel like, God, I'm great, and this is great, and the people I'm working with are great, and this is a great moment. But those moments are, unfortunately, they're fleeting because you spend so much time in getting to the next job, getting to the next position, and wanting the next thing, that you don't ever really stop and say, I'm gifted, I can just kind of relax in that right now. I mean, I think I'm always learning. I take classes, I continue to study, and you have these moments, you do a scene in class that blows your own mind, like you didn't think you were capable of reaching those parts, those strengths, those emotions, and things come across that you were not able to do, let's say, a week or a month or a year prior, and you surprise yourself. But then there can be periods that go on, and you're not booking anything unless you start to second guess. Unfortunately, you have to have, I mean, the business does that too, so you have to have something else that you focus on. So I also write. I just completed my first novel. I've been working on it for 6 years, and I'm in the process now of looking for a literary agent. It's important for me to have other outlets because I need to be creating. I need to be doing something that feeds me. And unfortunately, acting, unlike, let's say, making music or painting or whatever, is a kind of art that you kind of need to rely on other people to give you permission to do it. You can just stand on a subway platform and recite Ophelia's monologue, but people might look at you strangely. And you certainly don't make any money, well, not very much money doing that. So I need to be able to be creative even when I'm not working on a film or a television show. How important is it for me to tell our story? It is unbelievably important. I know that I am moved when I read literature, when I read scripts, when I see films of different people's experiences, whether it's something like Monsoon Wedding, which touched me deeply, or Roots, which touched all of us, or Schindler's List, whatever it is, the full spectrum of seeing these different experiences that I could not have known or enjoyed unless an artist were to bring it to the foreground. And I think we as humans learn from that and we grow from that, sharing different people's experiences. So I think it's important that we can portray our own as truthfully as possible and put it out there to share. And I think there's not just one woman's experience, there's not one black experience, there's not one black woman experience. As I explained before, I'm of Jamaican heritage. My parents are both born and raised in Jamaica. My background is Jamaican, Chinese, English, Scottish, and Arawak Indian. And it's very specific. It was very specific growing up in a Jamaican household, but in New York, let's say. And I felt very much apart from my African American friends and my white friends. Like I definitely had a specific culture, and it was kind of learning to assimilate in all these different cultures that were not like your own and appreciating them, and then having other people appreciate where you come from. And I would love to continue to put that out there as much as possible. I do that in my writing, just kind of shedding light on an experience that a lot of people are not aware of. And I think as an actress, people look to you and look up to you, and so I kind of feel that responsibility. I was back in Jamaica 2 summers ago, I guess, and I was online at Customs in Montego Bay, and a woman approached me and said, "I just want to let you know I love how you represent us." And that, like, it was everything to me. I mean, to hear that from the people from your home, it just felt, it was so important to me to hear that and to know that what I'm doing out there matters and people look to me, and that I have some effect on them, and it's kind of my responsibility to be not what it is they want me to be, but how I would love for people to see me, or as a Jamaican woman, as a woman of color, as a black woman, what that means. And so yes, it's important that we tell our stories, and they're all out there, and there's so many beautiful stories still undiscovered that need to be told. So I'm here at the ABFF supporting The Under Shepherd, which is a film I did that was written and directed by Russ Parr. It's a drama, this incredible, dynamic, a little controversial film, complex film with all these layers of looking into humanity. And it's about these two men who kind of grow up in the church, come up in the church together as under pastors, and Roland, sorry, I'm using his character's name with this, Lamont Rucker and Isaiah Washington are these two men who are in the church together, and they go their separate ways. And when Lamont Rucker's character decides he wants to start his own church because he's kind of frustrated not rising to being the pastor at this main church, and I play his wife, and we go and we start our own small church, and we have humble beginnings and humble ending. But Isaiah's character stays and usurps the position as a main reverend at this First Baptist church, and it's what happens as he succeeds and becomes this huge, kind of like a televangelical star with this massive following. And it's just what happens when he is bestowed with all this power, and how power corrupts humans. And it's not so much a indictment of the black church, or as it is of humanity and man in general. What happens when we find ourselves kind of overwhelmed with power and opportunity, and how we sometimes lose ourselves or our paths when that happens. How wonderful was it to work with such an all-star cast? I've told the story before that I signed on to this project knowing very little about it. One of the producers, Chris Spencer, is a friend of mine, and I happened to. It's very funny because I owe it all to Twitter. I tell people that Twitter changed my life. I joined Twitter last year, hashtag at Robinne Lee. I mean, not hashtag, at Robinne Lee. That's my Twitter thing. Anyway, I joined Twitter last year, and I joined it because I was writing a book, and I knew I wanted to get the book out there and publicize it. And someone said the best thing to do, everything I'd read about writers, is you use social media, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, whatever, use it to get yourself out there so you can start promoting your book 3 years before it's going to hit a book stand. So I joined Twitter to do that, and I thought maybe I could parlay some of my acting following into a writer following in some way or another. And I very quickly realized that Twitter's a little like high school. Like, there's the popular kids and the not so popular kids, and you're getting the most popular person you know to like give you a shout out, so hopefully you'll get some of their followers. Like it's very, and everyone tweets pictures of like, here I am with a more popular person with more followers, and maybe they'll see me, whatever. So I heard that Kevin Hart was having an after party for the BET Awards, and I'd worked with Kevin on a television show years ago. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there and tweet that I'm here with Kevin Hart and see what I can get. So I've got 2 little kids. I'm happily married. I go out to like Hollywood functions when it's like needed of me, if it's supporting a good film. I mean, a friend of mine who's in a film, or supporting one of my own projects, or like a charity that I believe in. But I'm not randomly just going out to parties. But I did that night, and my sister called and was like, do you want to go to the BET party? And sure, because I need Twitter followers. And I bumped into Chris Spencer, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. He said, I was just thinking about you. I'm doing a film. Your name came up today. Give me your number. I'm going to give it to the director. He'll call you. And you hear that all the time. It doesn't, whatever. So I gave him my number. That was Sunday night. 8:54 a.m. Monday morning, Russ Parr called me and said, I'm a fan of your work. I've got this project. I've got a part in it for you. Will you read the script? And it was like, it happened like that. I read the script, and you saw the story. It was just, I mean, you dream, you wait years for someone to come to you and say, this is a project I'm doing, and I want you to be a part of it. A project like that. I mean, just phenomenal. And then, so I mean, I knew Lamont was involved. I think that's all I knew at that point. I think maybe I knew that Elise Neal was involved. I didn't know Melinda was involved, and I'm friends of Melinda, and I've known her for years. At that point, we didn't have an Elsie character. I'd heard Isaiah's name mentioned as another role, but then, like, 2 weeks afterwards, I went to the table read, and at the table read, they had all of our headshots up, like who was playing what role, and I was floored. Like, to see Vanessa Bell Calloway and Keith David, and then I realized that Isaiah was playing the lead role, and Lou Gossett Jr. and Clifton Powell. These are people that, like, I've admired for years and years and years, and to suddenly be sitting around a table doing a read with them and knowing that you're going to be in this film, like, you have to pinch yourself sometimes in this business. Like I say, the highs are highs and the lows are low, and like I said, you can go for weeks, months not booking anything and wonder, what am I doing wrong? But the highs are so, like, you just can't even fathom what it's like to be in that experience. Like, you've worked so hard and for so many years to get there, and suddenly you're surrounded by this table of talent that is just through the roof, and it makes it all worth it. It's like magic.